A growing crisis, the pandemic and the polls. I'm Adrienne Pedersen, today on Upfront.
I can't move this election or change it on my own. My hands are tied.
Governor Evers calls for a special session to delay the election. Republicans say no. Why there's a partisan split on this important issue. Plus, two political strategists, one Democrat, one Republican, on the possible election fallout.
Taking on the issues important to Wisconsin. This is Upfront with your host, Adrienne Pedersen.
Thank you for joining us. We begin today with the coronavirus crisis and a clash over this week's election. As of now, the election is still set for Tuesday, but developments have been happening fast in the last 48 hours. So let's get all caught up here. Late Friday, the 7th Circuit Court of Appeals declined to block a federal judge's ruling that there be more time to return and count absentee ballots. That means voters will have 6 more days beyond Tuesday's election to turn in their ballots. Republicans will appeal this all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court. The appeals court overruled the judge on witness signatures on absentee ballots, meaning voters will still have to get that witness signature. Earlier Friday, the federal judge said no results from Tuesday's voting can be released until all absentee ballots have been turned in. That means we will not know who won until April 13th at the earliest. Governor Evers on Friday called on lawmakers to come into special session over the weekend. He wanted them to approve both a delay in the election until May and a move toward an all mail-in balloting. This was a change for the governor, who had not previously said he wanted to delay the election because of the pandemic.
So today I announce that I am calling the legislature into special session to do its part, just as all of us are, to help keep our neighbors, our families, and our communities safe.
Republican legislative leaders rejected that call, accusing the governor of feckless leadership. They said in part, our republic must continue to function and the local government positions on the ballot must be filled so that municipalities can swiftly respond to the crisis at hand. The governor has been under pressure from fellow Democrats to delay the election. He says he doesn't have the authority to do so. We invited the governor on today's program, but his office couldn't make it work. Republicans and Democrats are split on the issue of going ahead with Tuesday's election. I asked Republican Assembly Majority Leader Jim Steineke about voting during a stay-at-home order and why Republicans won't accept a delay.
To come in at the last minute and try to upend things and do an election in a completely different way that we just don't have the infrastructure for right now, or the security to secure the vote, just doesn't make sense.
So in a Republican statement, and then I saw one of your tweets, you also use this word, feckless, to describe Democrats and the governor's leadership. I think there are people, though, who are probably sitting at home right now thinking, okay, we understand you're coming at this from different sides, but why can't everyone come together when we're talking about a deadly pandemic right now?
Listen, that's been one of the most frustrating things about the last really week to week and a half of this pandemic and emergency preparedness that the governor is going through. We have been doing everything that we can to be deferential to the governor over the course of the last few weeks as he's kind of worked through this emergency declaration and put certain things in place. We haven't been critical, and that's one of the things that's really difficult when the governor continues to push a certain position, whether it's keeping businesses open and then 48 hours later saying he's going to close them, and then not having any details on those closures for 24 hours. For 17 days, coming out and saying we are going to have the election on April 7th, and then just less than 100 hours before the election coming out and saying he wants to completely upend it. He's got to give some people some certainty. Leadership takes strong, you got to take some strong positions and stick to them. To give people some certainty on how things are going to go. And that's one of the frustrations that we've had.
But even if you don't agree with the governor or you wish he would have done things differently, at the end of the day, everyone wants this to be a safe process. How do you assure that?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, we have been pushing absentee ballots, trying to get people to vote that way. That is the safest and easiest way to do it. The polling locations, if my district is any indication, they're setting up distancing so people will be 6 feet apart. For the poll workers themselves, they're setting up plexiglass screens, so those screens will be in front of the poll workers between them and the voters themselves. They won't be handling the IDs. the polling places are doing a lot of things to make sure that the poll workers are safe throughout this process. And I think that's important to remember as well.
And Judge Conley had said if people go to the polls and they get coronavirus, this will be on the hands of the state legislature and the governor. Do you think this is a matter of life and death, as some people have said?
Listen, this is a challenging time for all of us, whether it is voting, whether it's closing businesses, or whether it's just going to the grocery store. There are challenges in everything that we're doing these days. And when it comes to this election process, we looked at everything. There is no good answer. Unfortunately, when the governor came out and requested an all mail-in ballot election, he hadn't even checked with the Elections Commission to see if that was possible. The Elections Commission said that they do not have the infrastructure to do that. Washington State, who does have this all mail-in ballot procedure, has said that it takes months, if not years, to get to a position where you can safely and securely handle an election like that. You can't just turn it on a dime. So we have to be sure that we're doing everything that we can to keep people safe and secure, but we also have to proceed with the procedures that we have in place.
Many Democrats at the state and local level say they're worried about the safety of voters and poll workers on Tuesday. Some have even been unhappy with the governor for not doing more to push the election back. I asked Assembly Minority Leader Gordon Hintz about the Democrats' position. We really appreciate your time on this, and I'm curious, what do you want to see the governor do now? I mean, what can he do to make sure that people don't go to the polls on Tuesday?
Well, I mean, I think he needs to look at everything possible. While we do have legal analysis that says the clearest, most defined terms are that an act of the legislature would be required to change the date of the election. I know there are a lot of people asking him to do an emergency order and take it to the courts if it got challenged or dare people to stop him. But I'm sure they're looking at all options available as things. I think this is increasingly looking like a terrible decision. And certainly by Tuesday, there will be significant risk of transmission, spreading of the virus, and obviously overwhelming our hospitals, which I think are already feeling the weight of how fast this is spreading, especially in areas like the Metro Milwaukee area.
I think a big question for people is, okay, if governors in other states have pushed back their elections, why can't we get that done in Wisconsin if that's what the governor wants to do now?
Yeah, and I think part of this is the unique, each state is different. The statutes are different. The emergency powers are different. And obviously, this is sort of an unprecedented situation. Other states also had a little more time. A lot of the states that acted had April and May elections that they all have postponed. We had a shorter window, I think, but there wasn't a defined, clear path. It pretty much defaulted to the legislature.
What about DHS Secretary Andrea Palm? Do you think she would have the power to do anything about this?
Well, we have a legal memo on that, too. And the understanding that I received from a memo is she does not, or that position does not. So those avenues, I think, appear to be closed unless they want to pursue it and let the ultimate interpretation be settled in the courts. But the reality is we have an opportunity as a legislature with certainty to prevent this catastrophic event from happening, which is counter to everything that we've been saying to everybody in the state about staying home, about staying away from gatherings of people, and not transmitting the virus.
You're quoted in a Politico article saying it's a pretty bad idea to go through with this, meaning the election. And in that same article, it says that there are interviews with Politico. More than a dozen Democratic officials in the state expressed frustration that the governor didn't act sooner. Do you think this would have been different if the governor acted sooner? Because he did say he wanted to expand absentee, but he didn't say he wanted to move the election back until Friday.
I think the first thing is we are in an unprecedented time. None of the decisions are easy decisions, and they're complicated, and it's a balancing act. I think the most important thing is the governor did call for a special session. We can still act, and we can prevent this from happening in a legally certain way. And so that's what we needed. And as long as we still have time today, tomorrow, before Tuesday, I think that's something that we should act upon. And so early, late, we're at the point where we're at. and we have the ability to act. And if we go through with this, I think we'll, look back at those who, prevented us from changing it and look at the catastrophic consequences and say, boy, if only we had done something. I think we'll really regret going through with this, given the risk to the public, the spread of the virus, and the impact on lives.
The pandemic hasn't just caused chaos surrounding the election, it's changed the campaigns and possibly election dynamics too. Next, two political insiders, one Republican and one Democrat, on why all the usual bets are off come Tuesday. And later, efforts to make an overflow hospital at Wisconsin's State Fair Park.